Good evening, everyone. I am Siraj Chitani, moderator of today's webinar. We are delighted to welcome you all in this webinar being organized by Committee on Commercial Laws, Economic Advisory, and NPO. This committee of ICAI, it is my pleasure to be a moderator in celebrating RERA Act Day, webinar on RERA, 8 years of journey, building confidence and where innovation meets regulation. In a short while, we'll start this webinar. In the meanwhile, I would like to appraise you about this committee of ICAI. This committee is focused to encourage chartered accountants to shape strategy and policy that unlocks economic, financial, and social value while combining analytical foresight with commercial acumen. One of the core areas of this committee is to serve the multifunctional task of analysis, knowledge dissemination, inputs to regulators on policy formulation, to develop and publish technical guidance, background materials, etc., and to create awareness for professional opportunities for chartered accountants in commercial laws, economic advisory, and NPO cooperatives. Our eminent speaker will talk on RERA, where he'll be highlighting the 8 years of journey building confidence and where innovation meets regulation in this webinar. And we hope the same shall be of useful to members. Before we begin, let me just introduce to you our today's speaker, CA Vinay Thyagaraj, who is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, is a BCom and LLB graduate as well. He is also a founder partner at Messrs. Venu and Vinay Chartered Accountants, which has offices in 9 cities across India. He has a professional experience of over 23 years, and where his core expertise lies in the field of taxation, business consulting, and real estate advisory. He has authored and co authored various books like Karnataka RERA Law and Practice Manual, Maharashtra RERA Law and Practice, which was published by Taxman. He is also a trustee at Nele Foundation NGO, which has served over 4,000 plus destitute children with its 12 centers. He is married to Shirisha, blessed with two sons, Sai Anirudh and Vivek Anurag. He lives in Bangalore. He is also government counsel presently with NAREDCO, Karnataka, and Bangalore Apartment Federation. He has also appeared on or delivered talk shows on regional TV channels, All India Radio, journals, and newspapers. He is a regular speaker, passionate trainer, a faculty with the Institute and many other professional bodies, and also a panelist and moderator. He has delivered 300 plus sessions related to RERA, taxation, and business consulting at various professional institutes like chartered accountants, company secretaries, architects, engineers, and National Law School. He has delivered sessions organized by National Real Estate Development Council, that is NAREDCO, CREDI, Builders Association of India. He is also a guest faculty at various management colleges. You can reach out to him on his personal email ID, vinay@vnv.ca, or his personal mobile number, which will be shared with you in few minutes. And with this, we welcome you, sir. We expect the today's audience will love this session because RERA, although has been 8 years, but still needs more clarity, and a speaker like you can help us gain insights on it. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rajat, for the lovely introduction. Very good evening to one and all, and happy RERA Day. 1st May 2017 is a day when the RERA Act was implemented completely in across India. Of course, when the RERA was implemented, the state of Jammu and Kashmir was not there, but subsequently the state of Jammu and Kashmir was also brought under RERA. So in my presentation, we look at how this journey of RERA in the past 8 years, how it made an impact in this real estate industry. How do I measure the impact of RERA? So I'll not go into the technicalities of RERA. Okay. If at all, if I touch the RERA technicalities, I'll also give the background and also how this related to this journey of RERA, how it is impacted each and everybody in the industry and also the ecosystem of the real estate. So this being a special program by the Committee on Commercial Law, Economic and the non-operative or NPO committee, I would like to take this an opportunity to thank them for hosting this program and also making this program available to everyone. And as I mentioned, this is not a technical program. It's I'm not touching on the aspects of RERA, but as I mentioned, how RERA has made a difference to everybody's life. I want everybody to hear or listen from the perspective of RERA, how it can modify, how it can transform, how can change your practice, your personal life and the professional life also. I thanks Abhay Charges sir, chairman for the committee, and also Pramod Jain for giving me an opportunity to share about my experience and also my knowledge on this. Thanks to Rajat for the moderation. So as I mentioned, today's topic is building confidence and 8 years of journey of RERA and innovation meets regulation. So I know that there are 200 plus members who are here. That's what I heard from the committee. And chat, I hope chat is open. Chat is open. Can I know? Please open the chat, and I want members to be as much as
Sir,
active
we'll
in
be
the chat.
having the Q&A session in the later part of the webinar. We're not allowed to unmute the participants.
Do not unmute Mr. Mayan. Only
Yes,
allow
sir.
the chat. Allow the chat.
Sure,
Let them
sure,
put the
sure, sir.
chat in the chat. Okay. I'm not interested in about they talking in between, but I'll be keep asking some of the
Sure,
questions.
sir.
Some of the say yes or no in the
Sure,
chat
sir.
so that I can make them to participate and also be with me in
Right,
throughout these
right,
two
right, sir.
hours.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Tech
Great.
support,
Great.
please complete the thing, please.
Yeah. So I just posted in the group like how many of you are listening to RERA first time? RERA. I just RERA first time, not the. How many of you listening to RERA first time? Just say yes, no, maybe in the chat because I just wanted so that like I'll be know what is the type of audience we have today in this session. So that gives the some insight for me to present myself also.
Sir, I guess this chat is between us only. So tech support, are you there? Please open the chat also, so that sir can interact with the participants. Mhm. All right, all right.
Okay, possibly like allow the chat for the members who are here so that they can also pose a question. They may have a different opinion or that they may have a different experience about RERA implementation, either they're in personal life or in the professional life. Okay, I just wanted to share what is this in this program in this today's session. I look at what is the background and objectives because I want everybody to listen, everybody to hear with some objectives or some of the objectives of the, as I mentioned, journey so far. We'll see that how this has been rolled out, how it has been implemented pan India. I'll also brief you about the good practices. That's a regulation meet the innovation when I say that how this has been also panned out. Long way to travel, as I mentioned, is the 8 years, and the long way to travel to see this as one of the finest way, one of the finest statute, which makes a life, which makes the impact everyone's life, and everyone's contribution is. We'll also look at that. This data is how it is contributed everyone's, and who are all the contributor to that. As I mentioned, innovation meets regulation is something which I'll also share you that. So look at that, like the travel when I say 8 years, even though it started in 2009 to deliberate discussion, there should be a law related to the real estate. And it took 2016, 2009 to 2016. There's about 7 years deliberation in the Rajya Sabha. There should be a uniform law related to the real estate across India. So that's how it has been. It has been rolled out and it has been enacted and made it mandatory from 1st May 2017. From 2016, few of the sections in the act is mandatory because of the those are all the administrative sections wherein It's a state government responsibility to take some of the action, including the notification of the rules. Those are from 2016. Remaining operative portion of the RERA is effective from 2017. So 2017, 2017 to 2025 is about 8 years. That's what I say. It's a journey of 8 years of RERA. As I mentioned, this is a landmark statute, which is like bringing the transparency, trust, and the timelines. When I say look at the RERA with the three T's, the transparency, timelines, and the trust which brought in this industry in terms of the real estate itself. Friends, you and me and everybody knows the second largest industry after agriculture is the real estate. Probably you might heard this in 100 times, 1000 times in every program. In spite of second highest industry contributor to the exchequer, we did not had a law related to the real estate as an industry as a whole for 7 decades, 70 years. Only when 2017 it came to effect to regulate this industry. It is one of the highly sensitive industry, highly touch everybody's life. We did not had a regulator for 70 years. It is that's why I call it as it's a landmark legislation which touches everybody's life directly or indirectly, which intend to bring transparency, intend to bring trust in the industry, and ensure that timelines are timely delivery of the product, that is the apartment or the plot or the real estate project. Friends, I wanted you to remember these three T's of transparency, trust, and timelines. Because for you to appreciate this, you should know that there is the objectives to be met. That is what is important for you. Next, look at that. What you intend to achieve is efficient and transparent manner to protect interest of the home buyers. And friends, I'll also tell you during my presentation, it is not only the home buyers, it is a larger scale. But most of us are of the opinion RERA is only for the home buyer. RERA is only for the customers. Yes, RERA is for the customers. Apart from the customers, it includes all other stakeholders protection also. That also I'll cover you in my subsequent presentation. When I say that it protect interest of all the stakeholders, the landowner, developer, promoter, builder, banker, investor, vendor, service provider, our exchequer like a government, and statutory authorities. Everybody's interest is provided, protected the moment we start following this law very religiously, diligently. But however, most of the time it comes to our mind that this act is only for the purpose of home buyers. No, home buyers is one of the stakeholders of this industry where they did not had a ground for them to get their right at the faster, at the speedy resolution. This act made them to get a speedy justice or resolution to their problem. As I mentioned, this is the specific industry-driven statute. There is the complaint mechanism. There is a dispute resolution mechanism. There is an appeal mechanism is inbuilt in this act itself, so that the builder and the customer, the promoter and the allottees can resolve the dispute in the timely manner, so that it reduce the burden on the judiciary and also will have the reasonably logical dispute resolution in the timely manner, unless in the civil or the civil court where it takes a long time for them to have the resolution to be resolved. And as I mentioned that this act mandates that two aspects to it. One is a registration of real estate project. Second is a registration of an agent. We should remember this act intend to regulate two. One is the project. Always it looks like a promoter. No, it's a project. Always it looks like it's a project. Of course, the project is promoted by the promoter. The industry, the regulators look at the promoter as the parent for the project. So that is how it is regulated. So project to be registered, it is not the promoter to be registered. That means to say if you have a 10 projects in a different 10 states, each project should be registered. Mere registration of a promoter is not sufficient. And the project, real estate project defined under the Act itself, the conversion of a land into a plot land into a building into a buildings. That is called a definition of a real estate project with an intention to sell. If you have an intent to sell these things, then you come under RERA. That is the objective, so that can be protect the stakeholders of this industry. And as I mentioned, this is applicable to throughout India. Presently, it's applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir also. Even the land related laws are very different in the state of the Jammu and Kashmir. The act is applicable to Jammu and Kashmir also. I will share you the subsequent slide about the performance of each states. As I mentioned, it cannot be the promoter cannot allow the projects to goes into the market without registering the project with the RERA authorities. Very important for us to know and aware that any projects which is not registered with RERA, without obtaining the RERA registration number, it cannot be sold, marketed, collect money, collect advance, or invite anybody to look at the project. The text and section 3 subsection 1 is clear about it in terms of the registration of the real estate project and marketing, sale, invite, collection of advance. Many case laws have come in terms of giving the complete clarity that every projects require a registration prior to advertisement, market, sales, or collect the money or advance. Similarly, agents who promote the real estate projects required to be registered with RERA as a real estate agent. Section 9 and Section 10 related of the Act mandates the agents to be registered, and their functions and responsibilities is completely detailed in this Act. Because, friends, 70% of the primary market of the real estate is through the agents only. That means the agents play a very vital role in terms of the primary market. When I say primary market, that is any new project which is promoted, which is developed by the promoter, there is a landowner, developer, whomever we call it as, is always routed through the agents. When agents can be a brokers, agent, channel partners, whomever you call, who is involved in terms of promoting that real estate project for a compensation, for a remuneration, is called an agent. So in order to bring responsibility to them or to the agents also, the Act mandates the real estate agents to register under Act. Then only they can promote the real estate registered project. The agent who do not register with RERA cannot promote the registered RERA projects, is the intention of the Act. So two things we should remember: promoters to be registered and the projects, it's a project to be registered and the agents to be registered under the Act. And the most critical aspect of this entire RERA Act is the financial management. We as a chartered accountant play a very vital role in terms of protecting and also making the project discipline in terms of the financial management. Friends, 70% of the amount collected from the allottees with respect to the unit should be deposited in the separate bank account, which is opened in the scheduled bank for a specific project, should be deposited in that account only, and having deposited, utilize the same for the specific project. It should not be diverted, it should not be misused, it should not be used for any other purpose other than that project. Friends, in terms of achieving this, we as a chartered accountant play a very vital role. We issue the certificate for them to withdraw the money from the project bank account. Probably you know it or not, or whether you are aware it or not, this is only a statute which gives a power to a chartered accountant, which given a power to a chartered accountant, where promoted to take their own money, they have to come to a chartered accountant and get a certificate and withdraw their own money. No other statute has, no other act or something which gives a power to withdraw their own money. So this is the only statute which gives a power to the chartered accountant, and that power that has to be exercised very diligently, very carefully. The reason being is the money which is there in the 70% account can be and shall be withdrawn only after satisfying with himself, that is a professional chartered accountant, that the promoter has already incurred the money for the real estate project based on the books of accounts with the corroborative information of the architect and a engineer certificate. Very, very important, friends. And if you see what could be the quantum of the certificate in the subsequent slide, I will show you the quantum of the opportunities this has been created by uh, this act alone. How much is the opportunity that this act has given to a chartered accountant, engineer, architect, advocates? That can be looked at the subsequent slide when we start looking at the statistics or pan-India status. And you may ask, what is that the benefit this is brought to the customers? As I mentioned, this was unregulated to certain extent. I don't say it is not completely regulated. It was regulated, but regulated with the various ways and means, not by a single regulator. What do you mean by that? Prior to RERA, even though statutory provisions related to the plan sanction, it is mandatory for the promoter to obtain the plan sanction before start the project or before sell to the customers. But there was no checks and balances in the entire ecosystem for the industry, for the statutory authorities to look at that whether they're marketing or sale before the obtaining the sanction plan. I'm sure that most of the promoters were following, but very, very small percentage of the promoters were not following that. But with the implementation of their RERA, even that is also has been regulated. That means to say that without the registration of the real estate project, the product cannot be rolled out in the market. The mean to say that the moment I have a RERA registration, fairly, reasonably guaranteed that this project has received the required approvals from the respective statutory authorities. It may be from the airport authority, it may be from the power, it may be from the pollution control, it may be from the NGT, environmental clearance, or even the building sanction permission from the local planning authority. Fairly guaranteed, fairly assured that this project has received the approvals before it has rolled out into the market. Friends, there is no project, there is no product which can be rolled out into the market in any other industry without approval from the respective industry regulator or industry bodies. But that was the something which was missing in this industry. With the implementation of RERA, now it is very clear, without RERA registration, the product cannot be rolled out in the industry itself. So with this, we are fairly clear that the project which is coming to the market has a RERA registration. Friends, here I would like to tell and also give a importance to every project where either to your builder or a developer or to any of your client who is buying the property or your relatives, or when you wanted to buy a property in a project, ensure that the RERA is obtained for that project. Then you will have a better protection, better rights in the project. We started looking at, and industry started looking at, not only the primary project, the secondary sale in the primary project. That means I purchased the apartment post RERA, where it was required to be registered, and I purchased a project without a RERA registration. I'm trying to sell this apartment now. The subsequent buyer and the bank who's funding for that, is trying to look at this project is RERA registered when I purchased prior before, because the project was required to be registered with RERA originally, and it was not registered. And if that product is in the market for a secondary market, Even the secondary buyers started looking at whether the project was registered, which ought to have been registered. So the market started looking that way in the recent days. So you may say that, sir, it is registered, sir, it is completed, sir. I purchased, one customer has purchased, he wanted to sell. Nobody is there to test it. No, that is not the future. And already bankers have started insisting because of the various requirement under the law in order to protect the rights of the buyers. Under RERA, one is something called defect liability for the structural defect, quality, workmanship, obligation of the promoter for 5 years. That is a primarily on that. Second is in terms of the title guarantee by a promoter for a perpetuity for a lifetime. That means to say that I will get a relief in case of a title. If there is a problem with the title of the property, then I'll be protected. At least to protect that, I need to have a RERA registration to go before the RERA authorities. Friends, do not look at that RERA is only a temporary registration. Probably going forward in future, this could be a mandatory, whether it's a first sale, second sale, third sale, or the fourth sale itself. Once the project ought to be have registered, then it should have been registered. We should obtain the RERA registration number. That is why if you see in the agreement for sale, every agreement for sale is having the reference of a RERA registration number in your agreement for sale. And even for the sale deed also, most of the promoters are mentioning in the recital of the sale deed stating that RERA registered and RERA registration number. Apart from this is the primary objective of that. Then there is a bringing the standardization in the industry itself. Earlier concept of super built up area, concept of built up area, concept of saleable area, all those things were there. But post RERA, it is made it very simple, uniform, standardized. You mention whatever you wanted to mention, but give the mention of the carpet area. That means to say, Act is flattened with the standardization. Objective of achieving the standardization across the industry. The unit of measurement in the real estate industry is a carpet area now. So disclosure of the carpet area in every material that the promoter print. It may be application, marketing material, agreement for sale, sale deed, or website advertisement. Carpet area mention is a mandatory. Apart from carpet area, you wanted to disclose, the promoter can be disclosed or display something like built up area, saleable area, super built up area is of no problem. But carpet area is a must. This will give a complete clarity, standardization, transparency in terms of the transaction itself. Because friends, you know that carpet to super built up area ranges from probably 75% to 25% to 40%. We call it as a loading factor. Depends on the location, size, premium, or the type of the project. The loading factor could be 25 to 40%. Earlier, there was no way that there is no mechanism to measure it. But now with the introduction of the definition of a carpet area under the Act itself, there is a fair transparency, fair standardization in the industry itself. Next big benefit is about the agreement for sale. You know that DY, the past Chief Justice of India, DY Chandrachud ji, has mentioned the builder's buyer agreement is mandatory. That is nothing but agreement for sale. The state or the central mandatorily to roll out the uniform builder's buyer agreement. What do you mean by that? It brings the equality. It brings the standardization across India from Jammu and Kashmir to the Kanyakumari, from the West Bengal to the Gujarat. So entire pan India follow the agreement for sale, where the powers are given to the state. Even though central government has given a draft agreement for sale, powers are given to the state to notify the agreement for sale, which mandatorily to be followed by every real estate project promoters, so that there would be a uniformity, there would be a protection. There is no one-sided agreement in the agreement for sale. It is a game-changing in terms of the industry itself. As I mentioned, fast track dispute resolution, because in case of any dispute between the buyer and the customer, buyer and the builder, or the allottee and the promoter, with the timelines of 60 days before the AO or the authority, 60 days before the appellate. So 120 days, you have a reasonable conclusion of the dispute resolution. Of course, beyond that, it could be the High Court or a Supreme Court. So to that extent, the times are saved. Section 79 of the RERA bar the jurisdiction of the civil court to entertain the complaints under RERA for a registered projects. So that means to say one should go under RERA or the Consumer Protection Act only. So which reduces the judiciary burden on the judiciary, and this being the industry specific dispute resolution, I'm sure that the authorities, tribunals are doing the better job and the fast dispute resolution of the complaints. And in case of a equal rate of interest to be paid by the builder or the buyer in case of a delay. Friends, you may be aware that there is an inequality between the transaction itself. Of course, that's how the industry was evolved. In order to make it equal, now Act is very much clear. Act is very much clear in terms of any delay in delivery of the project to the buyer, or in case of any delay in payment of any amount towards the agreement, in a terms of the agreement, there is a delay interest to be payable by the buyer to the builder. So this made a equal. It's made a equal rate of interest for both. It's a very fair, very equal way to treat both of them. Friends, as a chartered accountant, we should apprise, we should educate all our builder clients. Please understand the rate of interest or a compensation you end up with paying in case of any delay in delivery of the project is SBI MCLR plus 2%, almost, which is equivalent to 10.5% to 11%, which is more than the housing loan interest rate itself. That means to say, in case of a delay, the monthly EMI would end up with paying by the builder. Probably buyer would be very happy about it, but builder cannot sustain in case of a delay. Consider, friends, 1 crore could be the house, the project, in 1 crore house, 1 crore could be a unit price and 100 apartments. In case the buyers have taken the loan of average 75 lakh rupees on each unit, in case of 1 month of delay, imagine 75 lakhs would have been paid to the builder already into 10.5% per annum into 100 apartments. You imagine how much, probably a 60,000 rupees per apartment into 100, the 60 lakh rupees. In case of a delay, the builder end up with losing 1% of entire revenue. So that is the impact. It is not that it's not the profit I'm talking about. I'm talking about the top line itself. In this case, a 60 lakh rupees per month payout. That means say 100 apartment could have gained about 100 crore rupees. So 0.6% is eroded from the turnover itself. Continuously 5 to 6%, you are gone. 3 to 4% of the profit has gone directly. So to that extent, it has the importance about the delay and also impact of it. This is the fundamental benefit to the customers. Also, if you ask, is there is any benefit to the builders? Very much that has a benefit to the builders. The industry looks at the builders who are honest, who wanted to be there for longer period, who wanted to serve the customer, who wanted to make a profit by staying. They only will be there in this business. Otherwise, all these fly-by-night operators will vanish. Friends, you might have experience in each of your cities. The 60 to 70% of these fly-by operators already has vanished, and small and medium builders who do not wish to comply with the RERA is already vanished. It becomes a consolidation. You cannot do the real estate business outside the purview of the RERA has become a mandate now. So ensure the RERA is complied by all your clients. As I mentioned, the money which is collected or the money available in the market goes directly into the industry, goes directly to the sector. As this also restore the complete trust, because in the first slide I said trust, timelines, and the transparency. This will bring back the trust. I am sure that you might be experiencing the promoters are getting the incentivized by way of RERA registration. They say that you pay 100 rupees extra per square feet, 200 rupees per square feet, because I have registered with RERA. There is a premium price for you to get the RERA registration, market it. There is a good traction, there is a good trust in the industry itself. Friends, for you to get a loan, project construction loan, if it is RERA registered, it's easy for you to get. If it is not RERA registered, I'm sure that banks are also not encouraging any non-registered, non-RERA registered project for the construction finance. Similarly, buyers will trust more, the sales will happen more. The housing finance companies or the companies, banking companies who issue the loan to these how projects is also for the RERA registered only. The first thing they ask is the project is RERA registered. Then you get into the ecosystem. So this gives the good advantage to the builders also. As I mentioned that possibility of more FDI or the commercial borrowing for this industry if you are within the purview of the regulation itself. Otherwise, you will not get the external or the funding benefit from the foreign investments. Also, in addition to that, Section 32 of the RERA inbuilt mechanism where authority, it is not only regulation, there is a responsibility of the authority also to develop this industry is something which we should look at that. So that is how it has been. It has been in the past, and this how has been evolved. Because even though the act looks and always looks at this point of time, RERA is only for regulation. No, that is why the act says Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. It is not only mentioned Real Estate Regulation Act, it also says that Regulation and Development Act. So the authority has the responsibility to recommend to the government in case of various initiative, various challenges of this real estate industry, so that the industry will do better. Friends, I remember few of the RERA chairmen used to say that confidently, I'm managing 3.5 lakh crore real estate. They say confidently 5,000 project worth about 3.5 lakh crore asset we are managing through the RERA. So that is a voice, that is the noise of the authority regulators when it comes to the RERA. So there is a benefit. There is a benefit for this industry. There is a benefit for the promoter the moment you come within the ambit of RERA. Friends, there is not much difficulty in terms of you being in RERA. It only requires a discipline, a advice for the real estate builders. They will follow it because there is nothing which is new in this RERA. Everything which was there prior to RERA in various different statutes, RERA made it consolidated and brought it under one roof. That is what is there. And as I mentioned, journey of RERA. Initially, RERA have made and presented various workshops across all the regions, north, east, central, west, and that is what is the journey of RERA of 8 years. And also, if you ask me how this RERA is helping the industry, also, friends, we have seen the COVID, how COVID was the challenging. This industry was not an exception. The highest impact is for this industry, even though this is the largest after agriculture, highest tax paid, direct or indirect, is from this industry, highest labor, skilled, unskilled, and the semi-skilled is employed by this industry. So it has a huge impact. The huge efforts are made by the every stakeholders during the COVID. If you ask me that how this data made, how this also made the impact is during that period, the central government has written to all the state authorities declaring the COVID as a force majeure. As you know that definition of a force majeure. COVID will be a force majeure. I do not know. This is not an act of God. So, however, for the purpose of RERA, the central government was declared the COVID is a force majeure. Accordingly, there are some of the relaxation were given to the real estate project where the COVID made an impact of them. There was a CAC. I'll explain you what I mean with CAC, how this has been deliberate from time to time overall part of the CAC, and wherein instead of the projects anyhow it was struck. We know that COVID played a very scary during those time. Almost about 3 to 6 months we were not able to do anything, even though the first wave of 19, 20, 21 second wave, the authorities, central government has given a direction, given a advisory to the all the state. Please look at that in case of a project which having the completion date or expire before March 20, please give them the straight extension without a separate application, without collection of a separate application fee. Initially, they are given about 6 months. Further, they say that you look at that, further you extend to 3 months. See, straight away, then 6 plus 3 months of 9 months of extension of the timeline for RERA registration was given. This is a fair. This is a fair ask from the industry also. Government also did a good job in terms of bringing these things and make it a direction to the advisory to the state. And most of the states have implemented that and by issuing the fresh project registration certificate by extending the 9 months. So what is the impact of it? That because if you remember how RERA is also helping. This is the one way that RERA is helped the promoters also. Otherwise, these 9 months could have been a delay from the builder side, end up with making the payment of the compensation to the allottees or the customers, because banks did not give any relief to the housing loan customers. Probably they have given a relief by way of not insisting to make a interest payment immediately, but they did not waive off any interest even for 1 month or 1 day. They continue to collect their delay interest in case of any of the delay payment of their EMI. But the RERA has given a conscious, the government has taken a conscious call. It is a huge impact on the project, on the industry itself. 9 months, they say that they given automatic extension of the project registration, and during that period, there is no delay compensation by any of the individual allottees are entertained. So imagine that how this has been a beneficial to the builders also. Not only that, and also the government says that you extend concurrently all the compliances under RERA, whether it's a quarterly update, whether extension, modification, or annual audit. Please extend or waive off these regulations, these compliances during this period is what is that additional benefit, additional directions advisory was given. Next, as I mentioned, implementation, 8 years of journey. What happened in these 8 years? Friends, this act in section 3, section 4, very much clearly mentioned in the act itself. It is a responsibility, duty of the state to have the website, and all the action activities are through the website only, website of the authority. I do not know any other act as an inbuilt provision to establish an authority and also host the website. This is the act statute which has mandatory for the authority, mandatory for the state to set up a website, and all the transactions, all the whether it's a registration, extension, quarterly, update, filing, complaint, even the probably hearing, communication, inter-office communication through this website only is what is made it. So if you see that what happened is, except these special states, the Mizoram, Nagaland, those things, all other states have established the regulatory authorities, notified the rules, appellate tribunals are appointed, websites are set up, adjudicating officers are already in place. So 8 years of successful of journey of RERA has achieved these things, except this northeastern state has a special challenges with related to the law, land laws, except them all are achieved this. Very interesting table. Friends, you know that we chartered accountants always fascinated about the numbers. No exception in RERA also. What happened in this 8 years of journey? How do I see the success of this RERA? And what could be the success we define it? Possibly, I look at the numbers only. Without the numbers, I do not appreciate anything. And this is how it reflects. As I mentioned in the initial slide, it requires a project registration, it requires agent registration. This is a scorecard of each state. 22 states have taken it, and remaining states also I'll tell you, union territories also I'll tell you in the subsequent slide. What happened in these 22 states? Look at 22 states. How many projects are registered in this state? How many agents are registered? What is the agent to project ratio? It's very, very interesting to know that, and how it plays the important role to the government. How do I measure the success of my real estate? How do I know that how the real estate is evolving? How the real estate is moving in each state? Can we look at this? Imagine the Maharashtra, the serial number 13 as the first in terms of the project as well as the agent registration. Almost like every average of one agent for every project is what is that it has it. Okay. So highest in terms of the project registration is Maharashtra. Of course, Maharashtra contribute a lot to the state as central as well as the state in terms of the exchequer. So Maharashtra play a very, very important role in terms of the real estate. And you see, second highest is the Tamil Nadu, 27,000, almost 50% or 55% of the Maharashtra. However, if you see the agent, only 1/10, 8% only. If you take the ratio of Maharashtra, they should have also have about 27 or 28,000 agents. But how much they have is 2,271 only. What does that mean? What do I arrive at? In Tamil Nadu, there is a less agents, there is a more projects. Probably, the business through the agents could be less, or this agent could be a very large, and they can cater the larger real estate industry itself. That's how I should see this agent versus the project. See the serial number 7, Haryana. My project is only 1,721. How much is my number of real estate agents are registered? Almost about 6,815. Can you see? More agent in the Haryana than the project itself. Similarly, Uttar Pradesh, you see, 3,861 is my age project registration. My agents are 6,821. Very interesting is the Rajasthan. 3,459 is the project registration. 10,886. That means almost 315% is my registration of the agents. That means to say these are all the state where agents play a very vital role in the real estate itself. Mean to say that there is a lot of regulation in the agents itself. Have to train them, have to hold them responsible in terms of the agents. What do you do? How do you sell? What is your promises to the customer? How you are informed about the project? How educated about the RERA? How you are promising? What you are promising? How are you linking between the agent and the project? Is something which we should look at that as a agents as well as a project. Friends, I hope you appreciate these numbers. With these numbers, now the state government or the central government has in their hand how this industry is evolving, how new projects are coming into the market, how much project which has come, which locality it has come, which state is performing, how it is performing. In southern state, when there is a change in the government, there is a change in the real estate dynamics itself. So if you see AP and Telangana, when AP separated, there was a government change. All of a sudden, real estate has stopped or has been gone down in the last 5 years. There is a change in the government. There is an increase in the real estate activities. Similarly, in Telangana, it was at a very peak in South India. Change in the government. There is a little slowdown in the real estate. So the government or the industry can see what's happening with these numbers. Earlier, I did not have these numbers. I did not have a statistics. Which state is doing how? Which state is driven by the which state was driven driving the agent? How it was happening? Now have the data with me in terms of the performance of each state and how much inventory which is coming into the market. Like when they say that 100 projects is month on month coming from one state, that means 100 into maybe about 100 or 1000 units. In that 100 into 1000 is a 10,000, which is our 1 lakh unit which is coming into the market. Now I can able to measure the quantum of the product, quantum of the inventory which is rolled out in the market. So this is what is important. When I say 8 years of journey, I can put a graph in terms of how it's managing. Now total about 1,40,000 projects. If you total up about 1.5 lakh, nearly 1.5 lakh projects across India in the last 8 years rolled out. Earlier I did not had a statistics. I did not had a data across India, how many projects are rolled out in which place, how it is been. Now I have a statistics of this information across India. Look at this also. As I mentioned that the complaints, as I mentioned to you, there is an inbuilt section 31 of the Act is a complaint mechanism. 42, 43 appeal mechanism I have in between of the Act. So wherein if I file a complaint, automatically it registered because this complaint is against the project, against each project. What is a complaint which we have filed? And put the same number of the complaint on the one row, put the number of complaints project on one column, number of complaint filed by the customers in the project another column, put out what is the ratio. You can see this. What is the ratio we have? Maharashtra, take the same example. There is a 49,000 project, 21,000 is the complaints what I have it disposed. This is a complaint disposed. Actually, complaint may be more, but this is a complaint which is disposed by the authority. That means I can monitor, measure how authority is also performing in terms of the disposal of the complaint. Complaint filing may be more, but the disposal is this much. Maharashtra total complaints are exceeding 50,000, but what they have disposed is 21,000. That means 40% of the complaints are addressed already. Karnataka, if you take total number of complaints is 11,000. They dispose 8,136. That means to say about 75% of the complaints are disposed by them. And you look at point number 7, serial number 7, how Haryana is. What project is 1,721? My number of complaints is 22,000. Similarly, it was a problem for me, the agents also. That means that there is a number of agents are more. The push through the agents are more. Number of complaints also more. This is how it is panning out. So we should look at that. Now I have a data in terms of the project. In terms of complaints, I have it. If you look at the Tamil Nadu, take that 27,000, where only 2,200 agents were there. Even the complaints are also less in Tamil Nadu compared to the projects. That is how I should look at that. The lowest should be 13%. Probably after Andhra Pradesh, that is the lowest which we have is the Tamil Nadu percentage of complaint. Even Assam has 20% complaint. That is what is the analysis I can derive from this complaints. In West Bengal, I mentioned only 167 because this is a post RERA. Earlier, we have a WB HERA. I also talk about that. the 8 years of journey, what happened in terms of the RERA implementation. So these numbers give some insight not only to the general public, to the authorities, to the various stakeholders. Now I say that on a project A developed by promoter X, have the complaints. There is 100 apartments. There are about 20 complaints filed by the customer. What do you mean by that? That means 20 customers of 100 apartments have filed a complaint. Then the ecosystem, while the new buyer buying or the banker spending, banker giving the loan against, will always have the bigger regulation to that. That is what is important. That is what is available now. That is what is now the innovation meet the regulation. With the technology, with the regulation, I can monitor what is happening, how it is happening, how benefit that can be done. So is completely now monitored, regulated, and also look at that. How do I support this industry in terms of coming out with these challenges is something we should look at that. As I mentioned, these states is yet to implement because of the challenges with the land loss. Otherwise, the real estate itself is a very small there, and days to come, they will also have this. Even though the act is there, rules are there, but in terms of the registration, those things are all not in place at this point of time. And union territories is part of our country, and there is no exception to it. If you see that 8 union territories, there are the registration, the NCT of Delhi, because there is a less real estate in the NCT of Delhi. Only in NCR region they have it. Only Delhi they have less. So still we have it. Haveli, Dayu Daman we have it. Andaman Nicobar we have it. Puducherry, even though UT and also a state they have it. They also have all the rules in place, authority in place, websites are in place. They are also performing. So remember that 22 states and 6 union territories, 8 union territories, 6 other states which is not implemented. So everybody is covered in terms of this act itself. Friends, I was telling you, like a GST, we have something called GST Council. Who are all there in the GST Council? Apart from the central government, each state commercial law department is represented. The government is represented through the commercial law department. That is how the Central Advisory Council is also there in terms of this. So what is that this act, this Central Advisory Council does is, they meet on a regular basis, periodically, probably on a weekly, on a quarterly basis, half-yearly basis. It is always headed by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs Secretary and also the Minister, wherein Minister is always be the head of this committee, Central Advisory Committee, where they have included all the stakeholders of the industry. Unless GST Council, only the central and the state government, where the CAC included the industry stakeholders. That means to say central government, Ministry of Housing, Urban Affairs are there. There is the state representative, state RERA authorities, or through state housing minister, housing department is part of it, because RERA comes under housing department in respective state. Representation from there, representation from the industry association, like National Real Estate Development Council, we call it as NAREDCO. CREDAI is there, the Confederation of the Real Estate Developers Association of India, that's a CREDAI. Builders Association of BAI representation is there. Home Buyers Association representation is there. The Forum for People Collective Efforts, FPCE, earlier we call it as Fight for RERA. They're part of the Central Advisory Council. They meet on regular basis. They look at matter relating to implementation of this RERA would be discussed there. As I mentioned in the previous slides, why they have not implemented, why they are not slow in implementation, those things would be discussed there. They'll give a direction to the state, submit a report of implementation, and also take the consideration of their inputs. And in case of anything related to the question on the policy issues would be addressed. So as I mentioned in the COVID, This is a committee which is deliberated with the other stakeholders, come out with a 9 months of automatic extension of the projects end date is considered by this council. Central Advisory Council, Section 41 of the Act is inbuilt provision to have this Central Advisory Council and also include the member from every stakeholder of the industry. Probably we as a chartered accountant who play a very vital important role from the institute, we should approach the Central Advisory Council from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Also, we should have a representation on the board as the invitee to this for the purpose of expressing our views in terms of the challenges while I issue the certificate. What could be the better way of presentation? What could be the better way of notifying the audit report, certificates, financial management? Friends, at this point of time, you all know that RERAs are supervised by or regulated by the respective states. Even though it's a central act, state-wise regulation, state-wide authority, state-wide appellate, state-wise adjudication is there. Each state is of their freedom to issue the circular notification based on the laws related to the state. However, these states can come together, come out with the standardized certificate format, SOPs for the financial management, or the professional certificate formats can be implemented. For that, the CDAC can include the chartered accountants as part of representation from the chartered accountants is the one way to look at how we can share our experience, our wisdom in terms of the financial management under RERA. As I mentioned, this committee will look at other concern, other challenges which related to the real estate under the Act. So Section 42, as I mentioned, as an inbuilt provision to this, and also provides protection towards the consumer interest. Friends, as I told you, it is not only the protection. If you see the next next line, next provision, growth and development of the real estate sector is also inbuilt here. It is not only the protection, apart from the protection, development of this industry is very important. Friends, you know that this industry has a big hurdle in terms of doing the business. It requires at least a half a dozen, minimum half a dozen approvals, and it goes to 20 to 30 different approvals would be required from the different statute, different bodies from time to time, and many a time that would be a hurdle, that would be a hindrance for them to complete within the timelines. The political unrest, there is a change in the government, political risk is involved, there is a change in the policies. The same government, the same department would have been issued the permission for them to construct a project, and possibly with nowhere they will themselves will issue a notice stating that you stop the construction because of some other statute has come. Probably airport of authority will come heavily on that. The National Green Tribunal, you know that what happened with the National Green Tribunal on various projects which is near to the water body. We have seen the order of the Supertech. We have seen the order for the Maradu in Kerala, where they have demolished the entire project. It's a ruthless. It has been constructed by violating the ZR, that is zonal regulation. The coastal zonal regulation is a Kerala. But when they obtain the sanctions, they have taken the sanction from the government. But unfortunately, it has come to a demolition mode of both Supertech as well as the Maradu. So this is the challenge this industry goes through. With a good intention and with a good note, we proceed, the promoter proceed. But we as a professional play a very important role in terms of holding their hand, advising them, escalating the risk matrix, not only from the financial management. Look at the statutory management, look at the financial aspect of it, a regulatory perspective, statutory perspective, and advise them you need to have a better risk management in terms of managing the industry. Sarji, can we have the any questions from the participants through the chat or the question and answer I can take up in between? So, as I mentioned, this is a Central Advisory Council met multiple times. On time to time, there are 10 meetings which is happened. And for your information, the minutes of the meetings are also hosted in the website. You can download it. Every stakeholder of this industry can read it, what was discussed and what is the conclusion they made it. It is a publicly available document. And as I mentioned, the transparency is the basis of this act, and they continually following the concept of transparency under this. And if you see from 2018 2024, there are various minutes of the Central Advisory Council happened, and their minutes are published in the public portal. This 8 years of journey, very interesting, very interesting things were taken place. I'll tell you. So the moment this law has come, there are a lot of resistance from the industry, lot of resistance from various stakeholders. Surprisingly, there is a resistance from the home buyers itself, in various ways. So most of the realtors or the real estate promoters, they engage the senior counsel and filed before the Supreme Court about the constitution validity of the act before various high courts and Supreme Courts. Then the Supreme Court has transferred all these cases to the Bombay High Court, and Bombay High Court heard every member, every chartered accountant who willing to practice the real estate. I'm not talking about RERA, whoever advised to the real estate clients, whether income tax, GST, RERA, anything else, accounting, audit, taxation, you should read the judgment. Beautifully drafted judgment. Invariably, every sections were challenged about unconstitutional between about the RERA implementation. Straight away, Mumbai High Court said nothing is unconstitutional. Not even single section has been amended except one section wherein it require, wherein the tribunal you should have a legal member. Except that, nothing was amended, nothing was accepted by the Mumbai High Court. Nilkam Realtors was present before that court representing various complainants, various uh, applicant who have filed the writ before various courts or the Supreme Court. Very beautifully, each and every sections were deliberated in detail. What is the intention of this act? Why it is valid? Why constitutionally it is valid? Why one cannot say it is unconstitutional? Given a beautiful reference, 333 page of the order should be read by every professional in terms of the judgment. Subsequently, various judgments have come, very beautiful judgments before the high courts were there also there. Probably we should take a dozen of the judgment, read that, because they're trying to make it more valid, make it more stronger about this act. And friends, most of these judgments are always confirming, upholding the real intention of RERA. Not even single judgments has been negative in terms of the provisions of RERA. 8 years, highest influence of by the is this industry. Not even single provisions is amended. You think how strong is this act? How firm is the government in terms of provisions of this act? Should we look at that? In 8 years, we have seen GST also in 2017. 2017 IBC, I think 2017 IBC also. How many amendments we have seen in both the laws? In RERA, there is no amendments. That's the beauty of this act. Government is firm on this. They say that whatever is there in the act is completely valid. There is no negotiation in terms of the provisions of the act. Sorry. Even though there are various challenges the promoters are going through, probably days to come, the industry association, we as a professionals, and also the stakeholders will make the government to understand these are all the challenges we have, and please look into that and please address those challenges also. Days to come, there may be a possibility of amendment, but at this point of time, there are no amendment with respect to any of the provision with the law. This itself says how strong this act is, how the former government is. What happens in terms of the WOP-HERA, Housing Industry Regulation Act? West Bengal has come out with its own act with related to the real estate in 2017 without implementing the act, RERA Act. RERA Act was a central government, but this state, West Bengal, has come out with its own act. What happened after that? About 1,286 projects were registered. If you read this act, most of the provisions are replicated or copied as per RERA only. But it's a state act. Center doesn't have any say in it. Is it permitted? When there is a central act, can state bring the similar act? We do not know the intention of this, of the West Bengal, why it has done. Similarly, Kerala also did, but however, they have withdrew the Kerala RERA, they have implemented the central act itself. Possibly both are communist state, they wanted to have their act, but however, Kerala withdrew it. West Bengal proceeded till 2021. As I mentioned, one of the stakeholder is the Forum for People Collective Efforts, FPCE. They have filed before the Supreme Court challenging this act, stating that this is not constitutional. When there is a central act, how a state can bring the state act, which is almost like a central act. So, government taken the conscious and also taken the stand that WB-HERA is a unconstitutional. Passed a order in 2021 stating that it is not constitutional. They should go back to RERA. So this is what happened. So this is the one of the journey of RERA. That means to say that from nowhere to everywhere, it is inevitable to accept this act, inevitable to consider this act, inevitable to implement this, follow this, make it a robust statute, accept it. State itself is accepted. We is not bigger than a state. Promoter should accept it. Customer should accept it. In industry, everybody should respect, accept this act. No exception to it. That is called the journey of a RERA of 8 years. What all it made over the time and time. It bringing the finest clarity. Even though the act is 92 section, about 25 pages, it includes every aspect of the real estate. So deep in these sections and the provisions, you cannot say that this is not part of the act. You say anything which is included, legal included, financial included, quality included, timelines are included, everything related to the real estate is included. There is nothing called you can say that this is not in RERA. Everybody is again responsible to their action in the RERA also. It is not that only builder is responsible. It made it to show that the act says builder and promoter. Builder and developer, we call it as a promoter. Definition of a promoter include the landowner under a joint development or a development agreement model. It doesn't take out from the landowner. Landowner may only say, I do not know, I am innocent, I just given my land to the developer to develop and please excuse me. No. Developer is included in the definition of a promoter. Then the moment promoter is there, developer, builder, landowner, you name it, who is in the process, in the part of the real estate project, who promoting it is called a promoter. Friends, the projects which is promoted by the state government is not excluded. Those things also comes under RERA. Example, housing board, urban development authorities. Generally, they develop the project for a public. Even they are included under RERA. They should obtain the prior registration before they go to the market. Then where is an exception for a private player? Where is an exception for the societies? No. So we should understand that this applicability of RERA is inevitable. And day by day, month on month, year on year, it is making a strong, strength is increased. Supreme Court is confirming, reconfirming, assuring that this is a superior. WB HERA is the case for it. They declared it's unconstitutional. Agree, what is there in RERA is something what is important. This is a journey of 8 years, which made a huge impact in terms of this industry. So it did not stop it there. Further it says, okay, WB HERA, then what will have, what happened to the project which is registered in the period of West Bengal Housing Industry Regulation Act, which given a relief with the case of Saptam Parna Ray case, where it says that, okay, fine, WB HERA was registered. Many projects, as many as 1,286 projects are registered. They say that, again, you need not to register. By default, you being registered there, you continue under RERA, you follow the provisions of RERA and continue practice it. Is what is that they said about it, and given the complete freedom for them to transit to RERA and follow the compliances of RERA. That is what the Supreme Court further has been given assurance, and also you need not to do the duplication of registration, etc. So what happened post this? Why in the meanwhile, government, as we mentioned, that RERA was very clear in terms of the central act is superior, rules are subordinate to the act. There was conflict in terms of some of the provisions of RERA Central Act with the West Bengal HERA Act. Those things were also highlighted during the Supreme Court hearing. Force majeure event. We know that what I mean by force majeure event. Those things also has been tweaked by the HERA. Planning area has been designated by the government. There was no distinction in the WB HERA. Regulatory authorities has the power to refer to the Competition Commission of India in case of any of the action of the promoter, which is like a monopoly, which is unfair trade practices. Those things were not there. If you ask me, really did RERAs are referring? Probably very few days to come. I'm sure that this authority will refer to others also, not only the Competition Commission, they also refer to the Advertisement Standard Council of India. We call it as ASCI. Whether those advertisements are standard in terms of the market. Because authorities may not be expertise in terms of that unless they build that expertise of it. So Those are all the future. Those are all the way forward in terms of what is possible for the RERA. And some of the adjudicating compensation in case of a interest was different. Materials to be used, there is some tweak in terms of that. Garage area is something they have limitations displayed in terms of that also has been differentiated. And this is the biggest aspect of the WB era. These are all considered by Supreme Court giving a judgment as unconstitutional. And it's good that finest aspect of this act is crystallizing it, confirming, reconfirming it, and assuring is what we should look at that. And what happened? What is that I can look at as a professional? Come back to my slide. How do I look at as a professional opportunity? As I mentioned that 8 years of journey of RERA, how it made a difference to me as a chartered accountant, as a professional. You tell me how it has made an impact. Did I read something about RERA? Did I understood something about RERA and real estate? Yes. Because these are all the projects which is registered with RERA. I'm sure with my connect, my experience, 75% of these projects are registered by chartered accountants, pan India. I can confidently can tell you. That means to that opportunity was created under this act. 1.5 lakh projects, 75% you take is about 1.17 lakh. You discount 1.17,000 also 1 lakh projects. Imagine 1 lakh projects are registered by a chartered accountant across India. What is that? This act has given the opportunity for me to the professional, because to register a real estate project, it's a very unique registration. Everybody and anybody cannot do it. It need a knowledge of real estate. It need a knowledge of legal aspect of it. It need something related to the approvals and sanctions part of it. One should able to read related to the sanctions, approvals, NOCs. It needs something called engineering drawings and architect drawings, and also the financial aspect of estimate of cost, timelines, past performance, projection, source of funds. These are all the very intricacies of the project registration itself. Mean to say that a chartered accountant is a best suited professional for the purpose of advising the real estate promoter for the purpose of RERA. 1 lakh, average you take 50,000 rupees as my professional fee for the registration. You imagine what could be the number. I will not say 1 lakh into 50,000. You calculate what could be the number which has created in last 8 years of journey. Our first opportunity. Number two, these projects registered require a compliances. Section 4.2 LD of the Act require the promoter to obtain the registration CA certificate before withdrawal of the funds from the project separate bank account which is maintained in a scheduled bank. Imagine 1,50,000 projects, at least one certificate in a quarterly basis, if not more. How many quarters? 4 quarters in a year. 1,50,000, you remove 50,000, those projects might be completed. Average you take 1 lakh project into 4 quarters, 4 lakh projects. How much will you charge for a professional? You say average 10,000. People are there charge 50,000, 25,000, 5,000, 2.5. Average you say 10,000 rupees. Fair? Imagine 4 lakhs into 10,000 rupees is what is the opportunity the industry has been created. This statute has created. Next, come to the annual audit. Who should issue the annual audit certificate? Again, a chartered accountant should issue. Out of 1,50,000, again eliminate 50,000. Keep only 1 lakh project. 1 lakh into whatever be the fees, you can charge starting from 25,000 to 2.5 lakh thousand, 2.5 lakh. Imagine what could be the professional fee that the opportunity of this act or enactment has brought in 8 years of journey. Why I'm trying to say this is just don't look at this one more statue. Handhold your promoter. Say this act is because you are into real estate, it's inevitable for you to follow every aspect of it. If you connect a dot of this industry, then you will appreciate how much this has a interlink of various aspects to it. Interlinked to GST, interlinked to income tax, interlinked to stamps and registration, interlinked to your borrowing, funding, withdrawal, account and audit, and RERA. So these are all the important aspects one should look at as the whole while we advise to the clients. So friends, 8 years of journey of RERA just not brought something. It is started looking at the filing, making it a final, making it as a robust, making it as more transparent, making bring the trust at the every step, trust with everyone, and bring the transparency and ensure that the timelines which we have. And also, I can tell you number of complaints which are there before RERA. These are all the pre-RERA projects. The complaint which were there, it's a legacy stalled project. Legacy projects has so many complaints because of the delay. Post RERA, I'm sure that the promoters not only adhering to the RERA, even the professionals are advising that because of the real risk of RERA, do not deviate, do not divert the funds, use for the purpose of the project which is meant for, which is always available to you. Is something which we should look at that. This is an opportunity the industry has been given to a chartered accountant. Not only to a chartered accountant, architects are there, engineers are there, lawyers are there, other professionals like quantity surveyors are there, who are all part of this project real estate development from the inception to the end. They play a very vital role. Each of these professionals should understand the importance of it, how this RERA is can make an impact to the entire ecosystem, which we discussed about Central Advisory Council, how these 8 years of RERA reassuring about the RERA is the superior ultimate of it. So what is this digital? What is that innovation meet the regulation? Friends, as I mentioned to you, real estate is the real asset. That is why it is called real estate. Always it's a real asset. Spread across every place. It is not at one place, not at available at one. Every nook and corner there is a real estate. Every nook and corner there is a real estate project. And authorities are sitting at one place, how they are regulating it, how they are developing it, how they are governing it. That's what I mentioned. There is a platform, e-governance platform, that's a RERA website, portal. They inviting every action, reaction through this portal only. That means online portal is available to file an application for RERA registration. Then the extension of the project, further extension of the project, modification of sanction plan, filing of quarterly update, filing of annual audit, sitting at your place. Don't say I'm sitting in Jammu and Kashmir doing a project in Kanyakumari. I can't travel. You don't travel it. The intention of the act is to bring the transparency, being a web portal wherein it comes to your doorstep, it comes to at your computer, you do everything sitting at your place. Digital platforms. I've shown in the previous slides, most of the sites already have a website, web portals where they can do all these things, activities sitting at there. Similarly, our customers also can we file a complaint using online portal by paying 1,000 or 5,000 rupees, including the appeal also. You sitting at a US, you wanted to file a complaint, file a complaint. Very simple. But you should know what is a complaint, how to file a complaint, what documents to be attached, how to do it. My recommendation is whoever filing a complaint, take the support of the professional. You just file one line client, one line stating that promoter has not delivered my property within the timeline which is mandated under the agreement for sale. I want a compensation. Give little more about it. Attach a valid document, attach a communication made, attach a calculation to be given. So take a support of the professional who always help you in terms of advising in a better way. Is something we should look at that. So this digital platform will facilitate, will support in terms of all these aspects which bringing on the online. It is not only submission. Authorities are tracking it. What are they tracking it? How are they tracking it? Once the data is there, I can do some analysis, right? How many projects are filed? How many projects are moving based on their initial promises that I give a section 11 mandates for them to give the timelines to complete the milestone of the project. When I do the foundation, when I will do something, when I put the flooring, when I do the structure completion, walls construction, plastering, plumbing, sanitary, everything has a timeline to complete. And this platform, this application will help the authority to monitor the progress of the project. Say that 5 years is the timeline which is taken by the promoter to complete the project. Fourth year completed, still 20% is completed. Imagine in 4 years, 20% completed. In 1 year, can you complete 80%? There is a red alert. Alarm will be raised by the application software to the authority. See some exception here. Please call a promoter, ask him what is the problem, what was the challenges, and will you complete next 80% in 1 year. Early warning mechanism can be set. Prior to RERA, there was no mechanism for anybody, no mechanism for the industry regulator to look at that. Now I have an option to it. And this information available in the public portal. As a customer, I know that I can make aware myself what is the progress of the project. 23% last quarter, this month, this quarter 30% fair, 30 to 35% fair. And if you see it's only 1% only growing, then I have suspicion whether this promoter can complete within the promised timelines. And those things are monitored by the software or the application. I can monitor it, real-time monitoring, real-time tracking. Financial disclosure, as I mentioned, that how much money collected from the allottees, how much units are allotted, booked, cancelled, money realized, money deposited, money withdrawn, money utilized. Can you see? This application provides the entire picture, visibility of the project performance itself. Is what is the 8 years of journey. That is what this innovation of the technology meets the regulation of the authority. That is the beauty of this. That is what is happening. Possibly, we are not experiencing it, but it's happening. Going forward, it will happen in a bigger way. It will happen in a bigger way because for everybody it's a learning. Authorities are no exception to it. Even they are also learning with us how RERA is transforming, how RERA can evolve, how RERA can be better, how RERA authorities can be deliver better. That is what is happening. That is what is possible. Friends, in our experience, like we as a group of professionals have an opportunity to meet various authorities in Hyderabad Institute, Center of Excellence. We deliberated 3 days, day and night. We were happy to share that 18 different authorities were present during those days. They were appreciated the efforts of these professionals and also making this available because even authorities do not have a platform for them to know better. So we are as a professionals, we can do a better thing in terms of that. That is possible in terms of when we say what is possible in terms of our contribution. And this is possible by way of the technology which is there. As I mentioned, AI power generated grievance or address, like simple examples I can tell you is how this technology is helping in one of the state, Gujarat, has gone such a way that they are looking at the Google mapping location to search, to track where is which part of the state, which part of the town is development is happening. With that data, they are requesting, they are recommending to the planning department, sanitary department, water department. More development is happening here. We request you to focus on the infrastructure to this area. Can you see this? With this data, those different department can look at the development of infra rather than to develop somewhere where there is no clue when that will be developed. The faster the growth, the faster should be the infra development. So this is possible because now I have a database of what is happening, how fast is happening, and when is the delivery for that, how much infra I should have it in that locality. Those things are possible with this information available with the authority. As I mentioned, there is a risk also in case of delay in delivery. What is the impact on the project itself, on the financial aspect of it, on the impact on the allottees also. What is the risk analysis for that? I can have that based on my analysis or based on the information which is available with RERA. Not only the promoter, not only to the RERA authorities, it's a tool to available for other stakeholders. Same simple example, we know that GST taxation is applicable based on the milestones. GST can easily make a note of it. 58% of the project construction is completed. That means to say you should have raised at least 58% of the invoice value, project value to your customers, because it's a milestone. In case of income tax, you know that completion contract method or percentage of completion for you to recognize the revenue for the purpose of income tax. They can very well go and see that you completed 48%, wherein you offered only 18%, 20%. These are all the very powerful tool in the hands of other statutory authorities, tax authorities also, to monitor and making them to comply with the good practices. Earlier we know that the percentage of completion for GST is something, percentage completion for income tax is something, percentage completion for RERA is something, percentage of money collected is different from the banker, sold inventory is something different for the banker. So now with this RERA, with the data available, there is a uniformity of information, uniformity of flow of information from one side to another side is made it very, very effective. That is what is important. Not only that, also look at what's happening at the third party audits and financial innovations. Friends, now, we also advise some of the bankers, they come to us stating that, can you verify this project using the public available data? How are they performing? What is the collection? What is the movement? Whether what they declare to me as the monthly information is as per RERA itself or a different itself. So those things is automatically would be captured. Gujarat made it a point to report or block the apartment or a unit in a real estate project once it is booked. Like a book my show, bringing the mobile number and the name of the buyer, allottee. First name, say Vinay Thyagaraj, VXXX, TXXX, and my mobile number 9XXX77XX. That means to say when I go and see the project in the RERA web portal, I will have a double confidence that, okay, I have booked this unit number 101 at the Tower 2, Wing C at this ABC Lakeview apartment project. My name is only there. There is no fraud or duplication of sale to anybody else. This is something which is an innovation like a book my show or a red bus where it block my seat, this block my unit. Who is the buyer there? That is how this innovation, that is how the technology is driving. That's how the regulators also regulating it. Further to say that Gantt chart, where it you have to give me the chart how I will complete the project. Source of funds. How do I get a source of funds of 100 crores to complete it? Consider you started the project, 30% of the booking happened. For whatever be the reason, remaining marketing is not able to move. But for 30%, you have to complete 100% of the project. Na? So, where is the source for you to complete the project? Earlier, it always used to be the source is either the borrowing or the customer money. Now, borrowing is also not possible unless there is a repayment capacity, unless there is a cash flows. So, those are all the finest aspect of the innovation. That is a source of funds. Authorities have started looking that, even though it maybe looks paradox or looks crazy that why the authorities traveling beyond possibilities, why the authorities are asking beyond what is their purview. No, they are the regulators of this industry. Will anybody object if SEBI ask a question or a questionnaire to give these details? No, right? Similarly, RERA is like a regulator to this industry. Everybody has to submit the information which is required for the purpose of project. There is no exception to it. But it looks like, okay, RERA is overboarding with information. No, it may not be. But these are all the evolving, these are all the future days to come, what all it can happen. Blockchain for title transaction history. Uh, Many of the state is connecting various department. The moment you put the plan sanction number in the RERA website, it automatically fetch the data of the sanction plan details. Sanction plan details, area, 100 units are given, 10 floors are given. This is the latitude, longitude, this is the location. You put the planning sanction number, data is imported into RERA website. There is no duplication. Integrity of the data is matching. Uniformity of data is available. Connect the RERA data to your sub-registrar for a registration purposes, to the planning authority. Unless I receive the completion certificate, I cannot register my unit in the sub-registrar. Law mandates register the real estate unit to the customer after within 3 months of receipt of the completion certificate, occupancy certificate. That means there is a checks and balances. You register after obtaining the occupancy certificate. Now link that to the your planning authority who issue the occupancy certificate. Link that to the sub-registrar office. 100 apartments in these projects are there. He can only register 100 projects in this project. He can't register 101 or 102 because that means to say that there is some mischief is happening in that. Prior to RERA, prior to this technology, prior to this integration, there was no opportunity, no option for anybody to do this. As I mentioned, this compliance notices like who is not complying, how many are filed the quarterly update, how many are not filed the quarterly update, how many are not filed the annual audit, how many are filed the complaint. Those are all the challenges which will have it. And also Maharera is looking at arriving at the mobile app for their various aspect to it. Okay. And yes, Rajatji, we can open for a Q&A. Yes, very well. This is my last slide. And consumer-centric innovations can be done, brought in using mobile app, interested collaboration, as I mentioned that somebody is failed, somebody has made a mischief in one state, he shut their business there, come and open a shop in other state, then there should be some record because Section 8, it is the authority has the responsibility to not only block and also publish, share the information with the other state, stating that this project or this promoter is marked as a blacklisted project, blacklisted promoter. Those things are the way forward, days to come. 8 years of journey is a fairly successful, fairly achieved by this industry, fairly accepted by the stakeholders, and I'm sure the days to come, this is going to be a finer part of it. We as a professional play a very important and vital role, and I thanks to Institute for again and again promoting this industry by way of having more and more programs across India. And my fellow members, my good friends are delivering the lectures on RERA, not looking at RERA as only a subject. RERA is the industry regulator. Nobody is about the regulators. And if somebody thinks RERA is only a registration authority, no, it's a regulatory authorities. They can stop, they can stall a project, make promoter to comply with that and make follow this industry regulation. That is what is possible out of this era. So the 8 years of journey is a satisfied, but however, one can say that far better could have been done. See, like this 2017 era has come, hit with the pandemic in 19, 20, 21. 3 years have gone in between. Before that, 17, 18, we're trying to understand RERA. 21, 22, come back with COVID. 20 to 25 is where we have seen effectively functioning of RERA. 3 years. That is how I look at this. Effectively, full-fledged, without interference, 3 years is for the RERA. But 8 years of implementation, what we achieved in a freely in the 3 years can reflect fast in the subsequent. If you see buying become a revenge buying, if you see the sales before RERA, during COVID, after COVID, everybody wanted a house for themselves. COVID has taught a lesson. House is very important. Housing for all is the central government aim to provide the housing for all. So with the implementation of RERA, monitoring it, regulating it, it is possible. Friends, with this,
Thank,
I open to the question and answer session from the members. Yeah.
Sir, thank you so much for giving us insights onto the effect of RERA and how is it not just a mere regulation but a regulator. Like we have SEBI in the stock markets and capital markets. Similarly, we have RERA in the real estate markets. So we have few questions that we have already received. Just quoting them one by one, if you could
Yeah.
answer them. One question we have is, does RERA cover renting or leasing of property? And if so, what are the regulations applicable and how far has RERA helped landlords?
Okay. As I mentioned, RERA, that intention is to sell a real estate project, RERA is applicable. Only lease or tenancy is not applicable under RERA.
Thank you, sir. The second question we have, does redevelopment projects covered under RERA? And if they are there any variations in applications for redevelopment projects?
Yes, RERA is applicable for a redevelopment also, because there also there is a allottees. The new allottees would be there. It has and it's the responsibility under this act to protect the allottees, and the same process, same application would be applicable for the redevelopment. At this point of time, the large redevelopment happens at Maharashtra and certain in Gujarat and Delhi. Apart from that, not much in any of the states, which at least I'm experiencing it. But days to come, redevelopment certainly happens at the tier 1 cities, even tier 2 cities, where there is a coastal like Vishakhapatnam, where there is a Mangaluru. Okay, those are all the coastal areas prone to faster deplicity of the building. So invariably redevelopment is possible. Redevelopment comes under RERA.
Thank you, sir. There's one more question we have. Given the ever increasing demand for housing and comprehensive coverage of RERA Act, do you see a reduction of cases filed under SURFACE Act, DRT Act, or Consumer Protection Act? Like,
Certainly,
yeah.
yeah, continue.
So even now, the banks and housing finance companies are resorting to SURFACE Act for recovery of loans to promoters, builders, or buyers. Why is so? And only few cases are taken up under IVB in respect of failed corporate builders. And why so?
Okay. As I mentioned, whichever be the act you're looking at, Surface Act, or whatever be the act you have provided, you have mentioned, is a very long-standing, very old law, very old statute. RERA is, as I told you, effectively 3 years. And if you see these complaints and if you see these projects which are failed, it is pre-RERA projects. It is not the post-RERA projects. Already they were in a trouble. If you take Amrapali, if you take what is that, Supertech, they're already in the trouble even pre-RERA.
Mm-hmm.
And which has just fallen in RERA when the RERA came into picture, stating that there is a problem with these projects, please resolve it. It is not the post-RERA projects. Most of them are, at least 95% is a pre-RERA project. Legacy installer project has fallen in RERA regime and they are addressing it. SURFACE Act, because bankers are protected under the SURFACE Act, they wanted to protect their interests, they go with that act itself. Over the period, bankers are also made responsible under this act. There are 100 cases where RERA authorities are given a direction to the bankers. How did you fund this project? It's your responsibility that having funded to the project, money should have flown into the project.
Right, sir.
That means to say the value of the project would have been increased by your funding. But you entertained them to transfer or divert this fund for some other project, some other business. Hence, you are not protected under this act.
Right,
so to
sir.
that extent, there is a possibility where bankers are also now scared in terms of handing low with the builder for diversification of funds.
So, like one more question on top of it, I have, like, let's say we have RERA Act for the real estate projects, and we have Consumer Protection Act for the protection of consumers. So, like which act is the best one to help consumers or buyers with in respect of when they have a claim?
Okay, a very good question. As I mentioned that alternative remedy available for them apart from RERA is a Consumer Protection Act. In my experience, RERA is an industry-related dispute resolution mechanism. That means only real estate disputes, that to be between the customer, buyer and the builder. Where under consumer protection is a larger, like a toothpaste buyer also will be a consumer there.
Right, sir.
House buyer is also a buyer there. Okay. But at this point of time, RERA has a challenge in terms of execution of the orders. The powers vested with the RERA authorities are restricted. They do not have execution power unless the powers are vested with the under Consumer Protection Act. To that extent, consumer protection could be a beneficial, but for them to get a right justice, faster dispute resolution, RERA could be a
better one. Right. So we have one more question that has come up. Will it be mandatory for all builders and developers to register all their complexes under the Act? I think there must be only those which are under development, not the already developed projects. Can you throw light on it, sir?
Okay, good. Very good question. I was looking at this question. None of the programs end without this question. That means to say that is RERA applicable for a completed project? I will rephrase the question, add little more into that. Is RERA applicable to a completed project? That means to say that I have a land, I will build an apartment, I will not take any customer loan, I will not take even the banker loan, I'll have my own funds, I will develop it, I'll complete it. Will RERA required? The answer is yes, yes, yes. As I mentioned, RERA is a regulatory authority. It is not a registering authority. So every real estate project require a RERA registration before sale market advertisement. So in this case, after completion, you wanted to market it, come and take the RERA registration now. You need not to take till you completion because you do not have you have not started the marketing or sale of it. Section 3(1) is clear. The moment you wanted to market, sale, collect advance, advertise, you come and take the RERA registration. Without that, you do not do it. But the question back to the same member who has asked the question, how many projects in India will follow, infuse their money, complete the project, then they go to the market?
Right, sir.
1 in a lakh only. Because the risk associated is a huge there.
True.
Okay, every builder wanted to take the advantage of the market, the ups and downs of it. I sell X value in this year, X plus in next year, X minus next year, X plus plus next year. That cycle is only available in this industry in one product, one project. So the question of RERA registration is mandatory, whether it's an ongoing project, new project, completed project, no exception to it.
Right, sir. There's one opinion coming up in the comment box, and I would like to read it. RERA, in my personal experience, is a builder's club. You do not get timely hearing an order, and RERA is toothless as it does not have the power to ensure execution of order. How much do you correlate or resonate with this comment, sir?
Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, this is a general comments. Okay, this is a general comments. I do agree to certain extent. As I told you, RERA doesn't have a execution power like a consumer code, consumer protection act, or a code. To
Right, sir.
that extent, yes, but over the period they will get that power. Second, the orders have to be complied with the by the builder.
Builder.
That means to say, I wanted to exist in this business means you have to comply with my order.
Right, sir.
Otherwise, you will not exist in the business. That would be the last project is of yours. There will not be a next project of yours. That would be the last project because you are coming back and standing before me for a new project registration where you are not listening to my order. That is going to be the future.
Right,
So
sir.
yes,
Right.
customer experience is little less, but the builders who do not continue in this business, who not intend to continue in this business, obviously they will not listen to the orders, and powers vested with authorities also will be a challenge. I'm sure that the much once you eliminate all this backlog, the legacy stalled project, problem of the older one, we all will get a fresh thing. We can experience the effect of RERA from the day one.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Vinay Thyagaraj, sir, for such a wonderful and insightful session of for this 8 years journey of the RERA Act on the RERA Day. And I, C. Rajat Chetani, on behalf of the committee of ICAI and all the participants, extend you a very warm thanks for enlightening us on these matters. And surely, as you said, sir, this has been just 8 years, but in execution or in process, we have just experienced 3 to 4 years of RERA in full power. And over the period of time, we know definitely since since this act covers the most employment generating industry of India after agriculture, there will be a lot more improvements and powers being given to the RERA authority under these act. And definitely, the consumers have already gained a lot in the last 8 years since RERA has launched. At least the transparency is one of the key things that we have experienced with the coming of RERA. And the builders are too cautious to quote or say anything before they sell the project. So they right now take too much precaution while whatever promise they make, the customer always has the option to look up into the RERA website and ask, is it this promise that you are giving me that you'll give me Jaguar fittings is not given on the RERA website? Can you enlighten on it? and suddenly the builder comes down under the floor on and the lesser side of the bargaining table, and hence there is a right negotiation price that can happen at that point of time. So definitely RERA has helped us a lot. And with this wonderful session, we, the participants, and me, myself, as a moderator, have also gained a lot more insights into the RERA Act. All thanks to CA Vinay Thyagaraj, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. And we, the committee of ICAI, and all the participants are so much thankful to you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
very
sir.
much. Thank you, Rajat ji. Thank you very much. Wonderful audience. Thank you.